Hi, welcome to the next edition of Migration Series, where we're taking decks that you get initially out of your Arena account, and we're going to keep moving them towards an Explorer deck. We've already recorded and uploaded the video for Fairy Pranks, but that's the first iteration. It's going to be like out of probably a 5 episode series for each deck, just because there is a lot to keep making it go forward into probably a most optimized deck. Plus, I have to keep rethinking and think about how I could slightly pivot without taking away the actual main focus of the deck, the actual template. So keep that in mind. But today, we're going to be trying out the second deck, which is Path of Power. So if you're interested in this series, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you go for future videos. Let's get to 1,000 subs. That would be so wonderful, because then we get monetized and then we actually could do some more stuff for the tournament series. If you like the tournaments in general, check in the description below where you can find the link to the Patreon. We have tons of different tiering options. So if you want to play in all the tournament series, there is an option for you. It's $30 a month. You get access to all the side events, the main events, all that shabam. So the more we're going to keep getting into the seasons, the more tournaments we're going to offer, and the more it's going to be rewarding for you. But let's get into Path of Power for Explorer. So picking up where the last video left off, I made some adjustments with this deck already, and I already made the sideboard based off what cards before I cracked the packs. If you want to know all that stuff, what happened, check out the previous video for the fairies. So I cracked all the packs. I wanted to make sure I have all the cards that you get by default already in here. Like a braid. I didn't want to just add this after the fact, not knowing that it was actually in a pack, right? So I wanted to make sure I assigned all the stuff that you get, that you're 100% guaranteed to have post all this. So this is what we have right now. We're going to play a test run with the deck, find the key weaknesses of the deck, and upgrade them slightly. We have 10 commons and 10 uncommon slots to play with. We're probably definitely going to be adding some Llanowar Elves in the deck. It seems like a very simple auto include, but let's try it out. Highlands, go. So this deck is a little bit more like a stompy deck, which is kind of nice. Don't know how well we're going to do on the ladder, but we're going to find out. Play Llanowar Elf, Mountain, go. Now, can this deck actually compete? We're going to find out quite quick. We definitely could immediately do some simple upgrades. We have one more Llanowar Elf we could upgrade. Plus, we have the other elf. So we could upgrade immediately and get to 8 elves, which is kind of why I actually really like this as a starting point. And I think I'm fine with that. We're going to go ahead and drop down another elf. Smack you, say go. So next turn we can play land plus Elena, and start aggressively taking care of the Soulscar Mage. Now, the fact that he's playing some Angers tells me this is most likely some sort of Valiant Heroic style deck. He's going to kill one land. How rude. You going to kill the other one too while you're at it? Alright, so it is Burn. Now, this is definitely a deck I might pivot to once we get some of the decks done, right? Because Burn is a very cheap deck you could build, and I think it's pretty solid. So here, I think I'm going to go ahead and just fight the Soulscar Mage. We're already at 5, so we can't really afford to do much there. That is kind of bad. That hurts my Helena, which actually hurts my Llanowar Elf. Heartfire Hero. So we draw a Garruk's Uprising. We get grow that a little bit more. I think I attack with Elena. I'm never gonna block with it, so I would say go. I don't know what our next move is. If he's just gonna play Jagatha. A loot off the top is not where we want to be, but we'll pump it. Say go. Heartfire Hero. This is actually could be a potential good 1-drop because Helena works quite well with the Heartfire Hero. So we'll block here. I guess block here. We're at 4. Play a Cinder Maw. Draw a card. Gain a life from the land. Or actually, we don't gain a life at all. Attempt to pump the Cinder Moss, they go. So he gets sack the Rampant All Ruins. Hit me to 2. Which means any burn spell just beats me. So that trades. And block like that. We're at 1. We somehow survive. Seems very unlikely. I don't get it. Grow the loot. Get frisky. We need to close this game out before we die. Okay, that means we're just dead. We can't gain life. Loot, please find me something that gains life. Well. Yeah, we just die. To the Heartfire hero dying. That sucks. Well, we came closest to coming back. So that's nice. So against an aggro deck, we have Dragonfire, Abrade, possibly Bushwhack. That seems to be it. And what can we cut? Veil doesn't probably matter because, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of target. I mean, a lot of this is going to be straight burn to the face. Spellbow is probably too slow. I mean, our top end's fine, I guess. Horn Beetle and Courageous Goblin. Maybe I don't want the Bushwhack at all. Maybe you want a Scorching and keep the Horn Beetle. Run it like that. Mountain, go. Mountain. Burn it. There you go. Arcanist. Kill it. Forest, go. And play with fire. Let's just play double Beetle. Let's go. So, like I said, we're going to try to keep the theme of this deck. The theme of this deck is kind of like a 4-power stompy deck. And a Bolt Wave. I can just take it. Not really what I'm looking for. Go. Now, let's see what he does. Bolt Wave. Light up the stage. He has another land. Another Monstrous Rage. So, at this point, we just need to... I can't kill his threat. If I go like this, right, that'd be 4 points of damage. I take 2 over plus 1, or 2. So that doesn't really work. If I just take it outright, then I'm eventually dead to a Rampant All Ruins. It doesn't make any sense to do. It's either you take it out or nothing. Yeah, that's not going to work. 0-1. Let's get into the next. Okay, Darkslick Shores. Play a tap land. Go. So Pathway. Play a Dino. Do you have a counter for this? Okay, resolves. Do you answer with a Fatal Push? Head ya. Cutthroat. Alright, go. We're facing some sort of flash jack, which is not a terrible, strategy. Now the question is, how do we pivot on our turn? Do we want to loot this turn? I don't think I really want to blow. It's not a very good card. Ruby. Seems okay. I think we just loot. I'm going to say go, because he easily could pump this twice this turn. Just be very wary of this. Okay. The Flash Mutate. Now he has a 3/3, and we would have got blown out. So we play 2... Let's go ahead and use the loot. Get a souls. Yep. So it's this way he can't counter it, which you gotta be worried about with coming to blue. Mixed match on lands. We're gonna try to, I think, use blow this turn to be able to answer the octopus. A shore shark. I'm assuming you're gonna bounce the spinner. Okay. I got block. I could play that into him and deal damage there. Gotcha. So the strategy, like I said, of this deck is we want creatures with power 4 or greater at a cheap mana value in a conjunction with like elves. So we'll play Arshroot. So we get frisky. Maybe Luke gets hurt, but that is what we're willing to risk. A 3/3. Okay, so it just blocks the loot. Yeah, it gets minorly a little bit of a scratch, but it's okay. Now we can start pumping into the loot and start getting a frisky with everything else. So the opponent is in a pickle. And like I said, after this game, we will get into a little bit of upgrades that we can immediately make with this deck. So we're going to go ahead and use loot. Cindermaw. Get frisky. Pump the ruby. It does not give it... Yeah, it does gain trample. So that's nice. So we have two things with trample. Now you might have removal. What do you bounce? The souls, okay. And he kills the ash root. That sucks. We get another creature. That gets bounced. So do you have to block? You kind of have to. Takes it. And the burst lightning kill. Nice. Got a game. So this is a little bit of a different kind of take on tempo. It's more of a flash deck. So in this particular case, how many flyers does he have? Just looks like just the bat, right? I don't really think I want any of that. So this isn't necessary either. I could do some veils. He has a lot of effects that target our stuff. I could do some additional removal. Sorcery speed removal is not ideal, right? So bushwhack, I think I'm going to be cutting for the veils. I think the goblin we could trim for some little bit more of other interaction, and the blow we could trim. I think we played Dragonfire, and I don't know about a braid. A braid is okay, but I think I played the Fiery Annihilation. I get it, it's not the best card in the entire universe, but it is a card nonetheless. So that is I think where we're going to be going with. Run it like that. Plays a tap land. We play a tap land. Say go. So I don't think the dinosaur is going to make the final cut after day 1. We'll play a dino, since we don't really need it. We'll get frisky with it, assuming he has some sort of answer. Like I said, let me know in the comment section which one of these decks you guys want to see the most, besides the two that I'm already working towards. Otherwise, I will probably try to pivot into building a deck from scratch, which is Burn, right? Because I do want to actually cover how you build a deck. And I think, actually, I might just make a video now. We will work towards the wild cards for it in the series, but it's only after we finish the decks that we have here. So he has 3 blue up. I don't think I could afford to play the spinner. Assuming he probably has a counterspell. Psycho. Our clock is definitely better than theirs. So I'm not necessarily worried. And our creatures are better, I think, when it comes to overall power. Just keep attacking and passing. Based on our clock difference, he's going to have to commit to the board. Play a forest. Hitcha. Now we can commit, I think, the spinner. Because now we have 2 mana open. That's, I guess, to be expected. I mean, he has counter magic. Let's see what he does now. Okay, that could be answered by a burst lightning. So we answer it. He does get to draw a card. But we prevent card draw, which is most important. So what is your last few cards in hand? He can start drawing cards with the Sailors, which is to be duly noted. Keeps continuing to attack for 2. Keep getting frisky. Just trying to get you to interact with me. Okay. This is not mutated. So we play another Dino, pump into it, kill a Sailor, say go. Alright, attacks. So he definitely kind of knew we had something, right? I wish we had start drawing non-lands. Question is, what does he have now? Call your bluff. What do you have? Alright. You could mutate on top of it. And go for the throat. You trade. Doesn't seem very, logical there. So now he's at the point where he's drawing extra cards. That tells me he doesn't have a lot in his hand. Comes to action. I don't know if I could win from this point. We really need something amazing here. Probably a Bristlebud Farmer or a Ashroot. Lands don't cut it. So we just say go. Because he probably has something to trigger this Cutthroat. Which would have been a huge blowout. So we have 33% chance of drawing lands. Probably actually need to trim back on our lands, to be honest. Our curve is pretty low. 24 lands seems a little excessive. So we'll figure out what we want to do there in the intermission. All right, so a 4/2 boar. You have a counter spell. Probably does. Okay. Alright. Give it up. Maybe we do play a Braids. I just don't see anything I want to cut for it. We'll keep it as is, I think. Play a Forest and an Elf. Go. Island. Play a Mountain, a Ruby. And a Horn Beetle. They go. Not a bad start for us. So. There's the Octopus. He gets frisky. Draws a card. Pretty good start. So he's getting a little bit of card advantage. So I think our turn, Veil is kind of nice. So I think my turn, I need to answer the 2/2. Yep. And I want to keep this, I think, because, I mean, that was just a 2-power dude that dies to this, so. He plays Sharks, which is a 4/3, or this is better suited for. So we have protection now. Now the question is, what else do we want to do here? We could do 2 mana, leave up both of these. I think it's best just to attack out. Increase our clock percentage, so he's forced to do stuff. So we need to force him to commit into our hand, which allows us to actually take the upper hand, since our card quality is probably not up to the same level as his. Let's be honest here. Get rid of that. Go. Now we have this protection spell. So we might be taking match 2, which is really good. So we got another L. Hit you for 5. See what you do. Probably smart to block the actual ruby. Let's trade. And play a Horn Beetle. So we're tapped out. Plays a tap land. Get frisky. Okay. And a Sailor. And a Sailor. That's pretty bad. So now he gets to take out one of my better threats while chumping and taking out another threat. Okay. He goes to 2. Don't really want to play another Ruby. So we're getting a little bit destroyed right now because of this Cutthroat. If I attack out now, he just takes 2 potentially. But I don't think I could do that. Alright. The issue is, like, we always got him on the ropes. So now what? Sego, I think. See what he does. Attempt to veil it. So you're going to allow me to manifest Dread. That's a nice card to manifest Dread. So our Dino dies. Go and kill his Cutthroat. Yeah, so we do get a little bit blown out here, but our window was decreasing by the second. Every turn, we were basically at a more and more disadvantage just because they are a tempo deck, right? They're designed to go better into the late game than we are, based off our current stuff. We'll take 7 easily. I won't even question that one. Play a Ruby. Turn that up. Try to get frisky. Do you have something else for this? Okay. We're lacking that last So that's 9. Yeah, now we're just dead, right? Because we only take one of these out. Yeah, now we just die. Okay, 0-2. Get into the next. I think I want to find... It's basically starting at 3 drop, I think. We could play Raptor. This is a card that could go on the board. It is also, of course, a dinosaur, which could work with the other deck. The dinosaur deck. We want something that has high power and actually could affect the board efficiently. There's really not going to be a lot of 2-drops that meet this category. Unless it's in green, I think. Because red, I mean, has a little less power, but with haste. Old Girl Trolls do big, and it's also rare. Snuff. So now we're in the 4 drops. So, like, we've basically already passed it. So that's kind of bad, but there's not a lot of options. Bayloth is a choice, right? We have used 2 uncommon slots. So Bayloth could be an option out of the board against aggro. But is that worth it, though? About Gruul cards. Oh, that's a possibility, too. Nice little sideboard card. Deals 6 damage to a flyer, so kills most demons, while also pumping our dudes. Expend, that's not what we're looking for. So it's a little weird. We don't really have a lot of options here. The common slots actually might be very tricky when it comes to using them. Just because the commons might not be worth it in this color combination. We have 5 more to use, so I don't know if we're going to be able to use them or not. I don't know what 5 power creatures there is in this section. I want like a 3-drop or 4-drop. Because I want to top out at 4. This is an okay card, but not really a constructed playable card. Surprising we don't have a lot of options here. I mean, that could be a possibility, I suppose. What Gruul cards? There's not a single Gruul card? Wow. I'm trying to think how I want to approach this then. Because I don't really want to invest more wild cards into this. It's not really that great. And I want to keep it on the upscale when it comes to actually Pioneer playable. I don't want to make you invest in cards that don't really matter. I guess you could have argued that Hunter's talent wasn't worth it. I think it's still good. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think about this rationally and quick. You look at the sideboard real quick. Is there any adjustments we need to make in here? I don't like Bushwhack. Dragonfire is okay. Do we actually own strikes? Like, this could be just a card that we just want to invest in. Play with Fire could be another option. No, we don't have Lightning Strikes. I don't really think you would want to own Lightning Strikes. We could play something like Skewer the Critics. Straight up go a little bit more on the burn side, but I don't really want to go that path. Cinder Maw is not a bad card. When it comes to straight power, that definitely could be a legit option. It's a solid body. It also triggers what we need it to. But I don't see it. If I put in 4, this should show up under the 3-drop slot. Why doesn't it? Give me a sec while I look this up. Okay, so it's saying I should be putting in POW equals 4. There we go. Sorry, chat. Sorry, I'm sorry. I should have known. Now here might be where we find something interesting then. Because I want actually good cards if possible. So green, I think, would have the highest upside because their creatures are traditionally fat or pretty good size. And I want to find something that's actually playable as a decent sized body. This could be decent as a 4-mana 4/3. While also picking up another card from your yard or your hand. Baloth is something you could use. Denison, those are 3/4 drops. Let's try a 5 power. That's a possibility, but it's not very playable. That one costs too much. Like, too much actual colored. That's a 5-mana 5/4. Not really playable. So no 4 drops here. So, yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's worth it. And I don't really want to have this in the deck and this. So I think we're going to add 2 center malls. Down Ranger. And we're probably just going to add something else, a 3 mana that's worth a little bit of effort. So that's 2 uncommons. We have 6 more to fill. The issue is, like, I just don't see a lot of good options here when it comes into, like, the 3-drop slot with 4 power. So I guess we're just going to end up investing in dinosaurs, I think. So dinosaurs also has the ability to play the 4-mana, 3-mana 4/3 Raptor. If they cast a spell, if whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn. So we could also do something like this, right? And that's going to invest a decent chunk of our uncommons. So that's 2, 4, 8. We have 2 more slots left over, which will probably invest into Pyroclasms. Truffle Snuff, I guess, will make the cut for now until we make the next round of adjustments. Because, like I said, I'm not seeing a lot of good, viable options here, especially at the common slot. So keep in mind, like, sometimes, like, it's just kind of difficult to find the right kind of cards for these kind of decks. Green, like I said, also doesn't really have that many good options. We could just play something like this, which is a 4/2 with Trample. If you saddle it, it's not terrible, but it's not really something to write home about. And I don't really want to invest any more uncommon wild cards for this particular deck for creatures, right? Because we want to also, I think, want to add Pyroclasms on the board. So I think from that perspective, you could do Ambush Wolf, I guess. That's a possible card you could play. It's just not there's not a lot of options here. A lot of them are uncommon, which means we just take up too much resources from other possible things we need to defend ourselves. So I think that's going to be that for the uncommons and commons when it comes to threats, because I don't think we're going to be able to top 4/2 with Trample for 3 when it comes to uncommons and commons in this slot. There's not really a landfall card. There's not really, which is kind of funny though, because I mean, like, you would think green would have good options here, but they don't for some reason. And I mean, I guess this card is an option. It does pseudo draw cards, which is actually kind of a big deal. And you could also play this as well, but I don't really want to invest into that. This also is a pump spell, but okay. So other than that, we have 5 more commons to fill, and we have 2 more uncommons. So Sideboard, I want to add a couple Pyroclasms as our last few uncommons, right? I'm pretty sure this Pyroclasm I must have opened. So I'm going to count that and I'm going to deduct it from this. So that's 10 uncommons being used. For burn spells, we could definitely add some strikes. Like, that's a possibility. Deal 3 is kind of where we want to be. And that could be definitely be an option. We could do Torch the Tower. It's actually a really good card in general. I like the Upgrades in the board. I don't really see anything else. The Scorching Dragonfires are basically in this Fiery Annihilation. Are the cards are up for debate in the sideboard. Main board, 28 creatures, 9 non-creatures. So we could have some Bolt Waves or, unlock something like this. Could do like a Volcanic Spike, Searing Blood. That is a way to answer small things while also dealing damage to the face. Royal Eruption. So I think we're going to play some Skewers. Skewers actually... Is Skewers worth it? So how many powers? We have 8, 10, 11. We do have another spinner. We didn't unlock this by a card. A pack. I think that's just better than the other card because it is a power 4 or greater. I wouldn't mind another Garruk's Uprising, but we don't have the slots for it. So I think this is a much better build. Like I said, I'm just not sure about these bottom 3. We use our uncommon wild cards. So we need to strictly stay the common. I'm thinking we just do Torch. 3 torches seem pretty reasonable. Maybe 2 torch. And something else, right? Probably want some sort of exile graveyard, which we probably could actually use this for the other deck too, right? Since they are commonly shared. I don't think we have that many options, yeah, for uncommon or common graveyard hate. So we don't really have a lot there. Sideboard. We could also add enchantment. That's another possibility. Something like Atroxus. Pick Your Poison is also pretty reasonable. We could do that. So that's actually a nice little... Add another copy of that. I mean, you're not going to be mad about that, right? It's a common. So we have 3 commons here. So that's a nice little nudge in the right direction. So I think that's actually a pretty good start, right? So we have Pyroclasms, I really like. Connecting the Dots, pretty solid overall. But not really something you necessarily want. Snakeskin Veil, 2 in the board. So we face something with heavy monster removal, protector threats. Torture Tower for early aggressive decks. A Braid for something similar plus artifact hate. Pick Your Poison for enchantment hate. Now we have some Scorching Shots for, of course, same for something like Shieldred or something bigger. And we still have 2 more common slots left. Now, I don't really know what the last 2 commons you want to utilize here. Because, I mean, most part, our deck is filled with uncommons. Play with Fire is a uncommon. Something like Shatter or some sort of... We already have a Braid, so I guess we don't need that kind of effect. I want something that's in the board. Something that's interesting. That fits this theme. Yeah, because like I could do something like Temur Battle Rage. That's a nice little combat trick, honestly. And we have something like Feed the Clan if you want something that gains its life against aggro. Yeah, I think a couple Temurs actually is kind of cool. I'm going to do that to stay with the flavor. And plus it increases our non-creatures over something that's actually not working. Now the question is, what are we cutting for these? I like the Elves. I like the Burst. Hunter's Talent's really good. Could trim on a Horn Beetle. Say Ruby. So this looks like our beginning deck for first rounds of upgrades. So we did actually a decent work here. This deck, I think, is going to be a lot stronger. Let's get into the last match. Appland, go. So this could be Burn. So we're definitely going to start investing into Burn in a few more seasons. Pass. So once we finish up, like I said, these 2 decks, I think there could be some small upgrades and go from there. I do need to look at... Thoughtseize in a Boros deck? Takes my Burst Lightning. Of course we draw Burst Lightning. For the Raptor. Go. I do think this is one of the better options when it comes to actually a 3-drop that is a 4-power dude, and it's easier to cast this with their current mana base. If you turn 1 Elf, turn 2 Raptor, you're not really upset about that. And like I said, this also increases the power level of the other Dino deck, which is a little bit more Dino-oriented, versus this deck, which cares more about the power being 4 or greater. We'll see if you trade. Go. Ratarobic. So this is probably a combo deck. Ellis Accord. So he needs another Ellis Accord. He can start comboing. So we're going to go ahead and play Garruk's Uprising. Draw a card. Kill Ellis Accord. He does get a token of it, though, which kind of sucks. So we pump there. So he takes 4. So he takes 2. And the next turn we get to double spell, I think. Jolly Balloon Man. Copy. Make a Ratarobic. Take the beats. We're going to go ahead and drop down a Snout. Draw. Raptor. Draw. Maybe we do one more Garruk's Uprising. This card is working. In the deck. Now, you definitely could make upgrades to this deck. I mean, you could place a Spinner of Souls. It is a really good Magic card. There's plenty of ways to making upgrades with this deck as we move along. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm going to look into more what cards I want to target next. The Fairy deck is a lot more obvious than this one, just because this deck does have a very unique strategy where it cares about Ferocious. So, like I said, I don't want to take the theme away from the deck. I could turn it into boats, you know, but I don't really want to. I could add some boats to the deck, actually. Ratarobic. Those are all flyers. And they all have vigilance. Okay. That's pretty... Okay, no, that's pretty hilarious. Now what? Keep. Our only shot here is, I think, this Team or Battle Rage. How much do you block? Getting double strike is probably the only way we could win from this point. We're dead, though. Okay. So, we have Pyroclasms. We definitely want to answer the Ratarobic. Besides that, the Jolly Balloon Man's a little weird. It's going to be very difficult to answer that as a card. I don't really see that a lot of... There's not... I guess there is some removal with Get Lost. But not like an obscene amount. This does not kill any of his threats, so that's not really worth it. These are not artifacts, so that doesn't really help. Scorching Fire can answer the Ratarobic. I think we're okay. Run it like this. Play lands, they go. So we definitely need to come back and win this game. This deck has a shot, I think. Thoughtseize takes my Hunter's Talent, I think. Yeah. No, it takes my Raptor. Now, I'm not sure if we can win from this position currently. We need a creature. And we have a pretty good shot at drawing a creature. Bartolome. Get rid of it. He knows we don't. He doesn't know we have a mountain, so we'll just play the forest. Play a Garup's Uprising. Play a land. They go. Next turn we play this mountain, unless we don't need a land. Thoughtseize. Haha. Take 2. I think I just pay into Hunter's Talent. They go. The reason being is he's less likely to think I have something. He already Thoughtseized me. He knows I don't have anything of relevance. So I wait. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. Draw. Truffle Snuff. No. Draw. Go. There we go. A little bit of card draw. This deck has a little bit of card draw. How's it rocked? Probably. No, it does not attack with it. Ruby. And an elf. I think that's what I want to do. So we pump the Ruby. That should become a 4-power dude. Or girl. So he can trade. Yeah, that does not stop you from blocking damage. Yeah, take it. Say go. Draw a card. That's not bad of a position. The Jolly Balloon Man. Copy the Hazaret. You want the token? I don't know about that move. Okay, so Ellis Accord. We go to 20. You can cast Ellis Accord. Funeral Room. Skips it up. So I don't think any changes yet. We could bring the Scorching Shot in, because it does answer the 1 card. Besides that, like, I think we're pretty fine, actually. Probably over a Burst. A Burst still answers a big threat. Probably over an Elf, or not like that. So just a Courtyard. So we drop an Elf, they go. Now this is more of the ideal hands you kind of want. You want some 3 drops, and you want some Elves that gets you to your 3 drops. Play the Raptor. Yep. Play a Relic. Sure. And passes. Play Hunter's Talent. Bartolome is a pretty good card for their deck. kill the Bartolome. Now, I will probably also do the Dinosaur deck, just because Dynamite, because I already technically have a starting premise with the deck. Scope set up, 1 and 2 overall. Let's get into the wrap-up. Talk about the deck, as is. So, this deck, I actually think is pretty reasonable overall. We are definitely accruing what we kind of want here, which is 3 and 4 drops that really just put a lot of pressure onto the opponent. Now, I am curious about vehicles. So that's something I might want to look into next time. Vehicles are another way of doing something interesting, which is getting a powerful dude while also potentially just tapping some stuff down or doing something like that to get a very aggressive attacks in. So, like, I don't know if vehicles are a very reliable strategy. I mean, it is a very common strategy with something like Ezekiel's Chariot. But that is something I might want to look into next. If you have any suggestions on cards you guys would have suggested that are commons and uncommons that you think could be pretty solid in a deck that cares about power, because that is something I want to try to keep it to that kind of strategy. Sacrifice, draw 2 cards. That could also be a pretty decent option, the Dragster, because it does get frisky for 4, while also eventually becoming card advantage. So that's kind of what I wanted to keep trying out. I want to keep pushing this deck. There's definitely got to be something worth testing in this deck. But overall, where we ended with this deck, we have protection spells. We have a decent amount of removal when it comes to Burst Lightning, and Hunter's Talent. So we have 6 removal spells. We may want to up that up a little bit more. But besides that, like, that seems to be within reason. Typically with decks, you kind of want to have a 6 to 8 interactive spells. You want to have about 12 to 16 cards that influence the theme of your deck. So for us, like, the theme of our deck, we have rubies. We also have Hunter's Talent. And of course, we still have our Garruk's Uprising. So we have cards that influence the actual play of the deck, which is caring about power 4 or greater. And then we, of course, could do other stuff like that. So that's kind of that's my legit strategies with constructing decks. You want to have your theme 12 to 16 slots. You want to have about 6 to 8 interactive spells like Burst Lightning, removal, stuff like that. And then you kind of want to fill the rest of your slots with other kinds of cards like the elves. They're not really a part of the theme, but they help ramp us into our theme. So, and we're not really going to actually use the gold because we're eventually going to try to do a draft. So that's the best way of upgrading your new collection. So, like I said, I hope the series is okay. I will be starting off the dinosaur deck. We could probably actually do it right now based on the sideboard is going to be very similar because, I mean, it's still Gruul. And for the most part, we have our new Center Maw. We have Raptor. So these are new cards that we could easily turn over into this deck. And you don't really want this card. So now we have a bunch of dinosaurs that we can now upgrade this deck immediately. We have Center Maw. We have this Raptor. Seems pretty decent. I don't think I started off with this card. If I did, I would have put it in the deck. I know I would have. So those are some easy, immediate upgrades that we've already acquired. This is a common. I don't really want to invest. I can't invest any more commons into this. So for some sweet uncommons, the first thing we want to do for this deck is we'll probably end up getting these 2 cards. And possibly also the Lore Keeper. But we probably don't even need the Lore Keeper now, right? Because we have elves, which just does it better. Again, this is Pioneer or Explorer. So we're going to get into this deck next, I think. Just because we already kind of started the process. And we'll do some other upgrades in this next video. So if you guys want to keep sticking around, if you like the series, make sure you guys sub to this channel. I think it's pretty amazing that we're like I said, what we're going to be doing here. Overall, like I'm actually kind of excited. I'm going to adjust this deck real quick. And then we'll call it a stream. We don't really need these top 5 drops in this deck. I mean, we definitely still want some dinosaurs. Some chunky dinosaurs to keep our theme. But don't need that. Don't need that. And King Collar could be trimmed out of here. And actually, this card is just bad. Put the dinosaur back. So I think we're definitely moving in a positive direction for the channel. I said I do want to know what you guys think about all the stuff we're doing on this channel, because this is something brand new. I'm very excited about it, actually. So this King Collar is better than what we had in there. So this is what we're starting off with, I think, with this next deck. In the sideboard, we're going to build it real quick. We have braids, we have pyroclasms. I don't think we're changing this stuff. Like, we invested in it in the other deck. And actually, I think it's really good. So, and I will have all these deck lists as is right now. I might actually post a link to the beginning and the after. So, like I said, this is literally most of these decks are only with 10 commons and 10 uncommons. This is actually a big upgrade for these decks, I think. I can't remember. I had a bunch of cases. So I had this case. Scorching Shot. I might not want to use that. Force the Tower makes a lot of sense. For aggro, Scorching Shots. I have 2 of them. I probably don't. Actually, for this deck, I think I'm going to keep the Dragon Fires. I think it's probably pretty reasonable. And I kind of want something else for control decks, right? Grindy matchups. So we want stuff that probably draws, right? I mean, that also is an option. I don't really want to use that. I don't want to overlap the other deck when it comes to the same kind of... I don't want it to be a very similar strategy. I want the sideboard cards, though, on the other hand, are, pretty universal. Just because, I mean, you expect similar decks. Ooze. Veils. Yeah, that seems pretty fine. Like, you do want some Veils and Ooze. Makes a lot of sense in the deck. Because we do want some Graveyard Hate if we could. So that's what we're going to be trying out next, is Dinosaur Might. This is the Explorer version. Like I said, we're going to be trucking through these. And like I said, I want to know what you guys want me to do regarding the rest of these decks. Which decks are you interested in seeing? Which decks aren't you interested in seeing? And we're going to keep moving. So, like I said, final wrap up. Like I said, overall, I think we moved in a good direction. I do kind of want to have a little bit more removal in this deck. How much of the theme do we have? We have 8 enablers, 10 enablers, 10, 12, 13, 14 enablers of power 4 or more. You could also want to do something more with like counters or something. Just so we can get our creatures big naturally. But I'm not sure how I want to go about that, right? So this is where we're leaving it off. The weakness of the deck, I definitely is this Truffle Snout. Besides that, I think that's pretty solid for a main board deck. And the sideboard, we are getting there. I think these 2 decks are going to have a lot of overlap in the side. So when we boost one of these, we most likely would boost this one too, because these 2 decks are going to be interchangeable. When it comes to the sideboard, this deck happened to get a huge amount of upgrades just because of the fact that, well, these dinosaurs are also really good here too. But they also have 4 power for 3, which is why they're really good in the other deck here. So, but until next time, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.